The letter you must read. How a blind black girl's message moved a wealthy woman to tears. A blind black girl living a life of struggle writes a letter that brings a wealthy woman to tears. What could such a letter possibly say to shake someone who has it all? In her hands, she holds more than just a message. She holds the power to change a life forever. The words in that letter will not only change the life of the woman who reads it, but will ignite a ripple effect, challenging the very foundations of privilege, race, and humanity. This is a story of injustice, resilience, and the emotional impact of a single letter. You must read this. In a city that thrives on its wealth and success, Sarah, an accomplished entrepreneur, walks a path paved with luxury and privilege. Her life is one of achievement and respect. To the world, she has it all: a successful business, a luxurious home, and a social circle full of influential people. Yet, despite the outward success, something feels missing. There's a hollowness she can't shake, a void she can't fill with money or fame. At the other end of the city, Aaliyah, a 12-year-old black girl born into poverty and blind since birth, spends her days in a small, humble home with her grandmother. Life hasn't been easy for her. The world sees her disability and her skin color and has already made assumptions about her worth. Aaliyah knows the sting of prejudice and exclusion all too well. But through it all, she's resilient. Despite the odds stacked against her, Aaliyah has always held on to one belief: her voice matters, and one day it will be heard. Determined to make a difference, Aaliyah sits down to write a letter that will change everything. In her Braille notebook, she pours her heart out, detailing the struggles she's faced as a blind black girl in a world that often ignores or belittles her. She doesn't want sympathy. She wants understanding. She wants the world to know that people like her deserve to be seen for who they truly are, not defined by their limitations or the color of their skin. This letter, sent to an unknown recipient, eventually ends up on Sarah's desk. Little does Sarah know, this one letter will not only change her life, it will ignite a movement. Sarah opens the envelope expecting a typical piece of mail. But what she finds inside isn't typical at all. Aaliyah's letter, written in Braille, immediately captures her attention. As Sarah reads it, her heart begins to race. She's moved by the raw emotion and the candidness of the words. In Aaliyah's letter, she writes about the daily struggles of being blind, how people treat her as if she's invisible, as if she's less than. But it's more than just the blindness that Aaliyah writes about. It's the racism she faces on top of it. She shares how she's looked down upon, dismissed, and made to feel unworthy by a society that never takes the time to understand her. Aaliyah doesn't ask for pity. Instead, she asks for a chance to be seen, to be heard, to be treated like anyone else. As Sarah continues reading, she begins to feel an overwhelming sense of guilt. She has always lived in a world of comfort, a world where racism and injustice are distant concepts, things she read about in the news but never experienced personally. But now, through Aaliyah's words, the reality of systemic inequality becomes undeniable. The emotional weight of Aaliyah's truth is unbearable. Sarah is left in a state of shock. She realizes she cannot ignore what she's read. She feels a deep sense of responsibility to act. But what can she do? She's just one person, one wealthy woman who has spent her life surrounded by privilege. Can her actions truly make a difference? After days of internal struggle, Sarah decides to take action. She contacts her foundation, using her wealth and influence to set up initiatives that will provide real opportunities to underprivileged black children, like Aaliyah. She doesn't stop there. Sarah starts advocating for racial equality in every sphere of her life, whether through her business, her social circles, or her philanthropic efforts. But as she dives deeper into the cause, she realizes that the problem is much bigger than just donating money or setting up programs. It's about changing hearts and minds. It's about changing the way people see each other. Sarah begins to understand that this is not just about giving back. It's about challenging the prejudices that exist within herself and within society as a whole. She starts attending rallies, engaging in difficult conversations, and using her platform to speak out against racial injustice. As she witnesses firsthand the systemic obstacles that people like Aaliyah face, Sarah is forever changed. She can no longer live in the ignorance of her previous life. But it's not enough. Sarah knows that the battle against racism is long and hard, and she cannot do it alone. She reaches out to other influential figures, urging them to use their positions of power for change. Together, they begin to build a network of people committed to tackling racial injustice. Yet, no matter how much Sarah does, she feels a sense of unease. The progress is slow and the world isn't changing fast enough. The emotional weight of knowing that lives like Aaliyah's are still being crushed by inequality keeps her up at night. But she knows that even small steps toward change are worth it, even if it feels like a never-ending struggle. Months pass, and the efforts that Sarah has poured herself into begin to make a difference. The foundation she started is now providing scholarships, mentorship programs, and a network of support for Black children who have been overlooked by society. Aaliyah, now a teenager, attends one of the foundation's programs. She's blossomed into a bright young woman full of ambition and hope for a future that once seemed impossible. But Sarah is far from content. She knows the work isn't done. As she stands before a crowd giving a speech at an event sponsored by her foundation, Sarah reflects on the journey. She knows that the change they're fighting for is not immediate. It's a long uphill battle. But she also knows that Aaliyah's letter ignited a spark in her, a spark that cannot be extinguished.